When love walks in the room, everybody's
Taking back the mainstream media 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thom Hartmann here with you. This is why I'm telling you, here in the United States, everybody, the whole immigration issue, yes, there are a few crackpots around the fringe, the KKK crackpots, who are, oh my God, it's brown people coming. But really there is an economic issue that has to do with what is referred to in the corporate media as illegal immigration and what I refer to as illegal employers. And it really ultimately, at the end of the day, has nothing to do with race. It has to do with whether or not there's going to be a strong middle class. In January, in Britain, strikes broke out. You had civil unrest. You had thousands of people marching in the streets. There's a big color picture of this in today, page 3 of today's Financial Times, of a whole bunch of trade unions carrying signs marching against the Total oil refinery. Total is the oil company there, hiring workers who were Italian and Portuguese. Their skin was every bit as light as the British. It's just that by signing into the EU pact, it made it possible for people from lower wage countries to come to higher wage countries and take lower wage jobs, send the money home, and hey, everybody lives well at home. But what happens is that the higher wage Brits get thrown out of work. And they're freaking out. In Spain, where about 5 million immigrants from North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Latin America have arrived over the last 10 years, the government is encouraging foreigners to leave as unemployment soars toward 20% of the workforce. I mean, this is quite interesting. Poland has the largest population that has resettled itself around Western Europe now as a consequence of European integration, of Poland joining the EU. 1.5 million Poles have settled in the United Kingdom alone. 750,000 of them just in London. And it's creating, shall we say, a bit of a problem. In Italy, 14% of the 1.5 million residents of Milan, 14% are non-Italian. The highest number, Egyptians and Filipinos. So, I mean, it's just, this whole thing is the arbitrage of labor, whether it's outsourcing labor, as American corporations do, or whether it's insourcing labor in the form of, in Europe, legal immigration, legally signing up for a deal, the EU signing up for a deal, and the workers are now starting to figure this out, that with the EU they were sold basically a bill of goods that would be to the benefit, that would work to the benefit of the big transnational corporations in those countries and not to the benefit of the average workers, just like the WTO and NAFTA do here, and just like not enforcing immigration laws with regard to employers do here. That what you end up with is a surplus of labor. So how do you decrease the labor pool? Number one, you enforce your national borders, your national boundaries, so that you can have an economy that operates. It's like, again, a football game. You say, how many people are going to be on the teams and how big is the field going to be? You have a national economy, you define the rules of the economy, and you do it within certain boundaries. Number one. And number two, then you say, okay, what is the purpose of this economy? If the purpose of the economy is to make money for the investors, then the workers really don't count. And you play the game in any old damn way you want, and the workers get screwed as badly as they can get screwed, just so long as the investors make out. And that's how we've been running this economy since 1980. That was how we were running the American economy back in the 1880s and 1890s during the robber baron era. That's what led directly to the last Republican Great Depression, and that's what has led to this Republican Great Depression. Or you say the reason that we have an economy, and you look at, is to create a middle class because it's the best thing for our small d democracy. It's the best thing for our society. And then you look at the countries, the northern European countries and some of the countries that have not embraced unlimited immigration of labor, or where they don't have problems of illegal employers like we do here, and have not embraced free trade, unilateral free trade, but rather are protecting their economies, and they're doing very well, thank you very much. So these are the things that we can do in this country, and it's pretty straightforward. This is not rocket science. That we simply say, we need to go back. We need to roll back everything that's happened since Reagan. And I know, and I'm not. I remember my grandfather. These young kids these days, I hope I don't sound like that. But Reagan said, let's compensate CEOs with stock so they'll work in the interest of the stockholders. That was wrong. It turns the CEOs into gamblers. They shouldn't be gamblers. They should be managing the company. Reagan's plan was, let's destroy organized labor because they've got too much power. That was wrong. It's killing off the middle class. Reagan's plan was, the middle class is too large, and these kids, Ronald Reagan himself, he said, when he did away with free college education in California, he said, why should I pay for students to protest me? Well, because protesting is part of growing up. Protesting is part of a democracy. It's called the First Amendment. We need to bring the American dream back.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.